Hey guys, what's going on? I hope everyone is staying safe and looking after themselves during lockdown. So if you're like me and you're living in Melbourne right now, or even in Sydney, then you'll know that most of the gyms are currently closed. And for most of us, we've had to resort to either training with limited equipment, and that also means doing a lot of bodyweight exercises. So regarding bodyweight exercises, one of the most popular bodyweight exercises for training your back muscles is the pull-up. If you're a beginner and you're not too well versed with the pull-up movement, or you just don't have the strength to perform a fully unassisted pull-up, then this video is going to help you out by showing you some of the different regressions that you can do to build up to a fully unassisted pull-up. So in terms of equipment needed, you'll need something to do the pull-ups on. So most squat racks will either have a bar or some handles that you can do this on. You can also find some that attach to your door frame, or some that bolt into the framework of your house. And for the purposes of this video, you'll also need some resistance bands, preferably the longer ones, and a range of different resistances going from light to heavy. And these are going to help you progress through to an unassisted pull-up. So without further ado, let's get started. And the first regression that we're going to be having a look at is the machine assisted pull-up. This is probably most easily accessible at the gym, and not many people would have this at home, but we'll talk about it regardless anyway, so that by the time you get back to the gym, you'll have something to refer to. So for the machine assisted pull-up, it's quite an easy machine to use. So you just set the weight depending on what level of assistance that you want it to give you. So the more weight that you put on, the more assistance that it'll give. Then you put your knees onto the pad and you grab the handles at the top, and you pretty much pull your chest up towards the handles. So again, it's a very safe and easy way of doing a pull-up. The best thing to do with training this particular movement is to make sure that you're training with full range of movement, and that means hanging all the way down to the bottom and then pulling yourself all the way to the top so that your chest gets as close as to the handles as possible. And another thing is to pick the right level of assistance so that you're not getting too much help with the movement. And a good way of judging this is that by the end of the 8th or the 10th rep, you should be feeling pretty sore in your lats. And if you're doing, let's say 15 reps and you're still not sore and you're not really feeling any burn, then you're probably going a bit too light. If you're only getting about 4 to 6 reps and you're pretty toasted, then you probably need just a little bit more assistance just to get a couple more reps to meet the training volume required. In terms of progressing within this machine, I would start decreasing the amount of assistance provided, so decreasing the amount of weight that you're putting on, and then I'd adjust on a session by session basis. So theoretically speaking, you should be making some pretty quick gains with this machine if you're a beginner, and you should be able to start decreasing the amount of assistance week by week or session by session. So if you've been doing this machine and it starts to get easy, or if you're like us at home and you don't have access to the right equipment, then the next progression that you can start having a look at is by using a band assisted pull-up. If I was to pick one out of the machine pull-up and the band assisted, I'd pretty much always go for the band assisted pull-up. It's a much more intuitive way of training pull-ups because of the elastic properties of the band. So at the bottom position where the band is most stretched, it's going to be providing the most amount of assistance. And this is usually where people struggle the most. One, because it's somewhat hard to initiate from this position, and two, our lats are in its most lengthened position. So if we refer to the length tension graph here, we can see that at the shortest and longest points of the muscle length, then our muscles are essentially at its weakest. So at the bottom position where our lats are at its most lengthened position, they're going to be quite weak at developing force. So the band's going to help us in this position, and then as we go up into the pull-up and the band starts to decrease in length and also elasticity, it's going to provide less assistance. And this is typically where we're in our strongest position. So to set up the band assisted pull-up, I find that the easiest way to set this up is by looping the band around the bar and into itself, and then stepping into that loop that's created. You can either hang by your knees or thread it through your feet, and then use that as the anchor. Just like any other pull-up, bring your chest up to the bar and then slowly lower yourself back down. So for most people, this will be the stage where you'll spend most of your pull-up time in, and it's really great because you can vary the amount of assistance depending on which resistance band that you use. So here's a bit of a useful diagram for the different types of resistance bands and the resistances they provide, ranging from heavy to medium to light. And so if you're a complete beginner and you've sort of graduated from the machine pull-up, then I'd opt for the heavy resistance band. And if you're starting to get a bit better, you can start doing it with a bit less assistance, then I'd go for a moderate resistance band. And if you've gotten your first pull-up and you just need to get a bit more volume and you just need a bit more help with getting some extra reps in, then I'd go for a light resistance band. So by the time that you can do maybe 8 to 10 to 12 reps on a light to moderate resistance band, it's time to start aiming for your first pull-up. And this can be really exciting because for some people, they've never done one before. So here are some of the things that you can do to get closer and closer to doing a fully unassisted pull-up. So the first thing that we'll look at is training the initiation. And some people have a bit more trouble than others initiating. And this just comes down to their awareness of the shoulder blade position and strength of some of the muscles around the shoulder blade. So in order to initiate, we should get our shoulders into a slightly retracted and depressed position. So this is pulling your shoulders back and down. Now in the proper pull-up, this happens gradually throughout the whole movement and we don't immediately lock our shoulders back and down as we start. However, for the purposes of training this movement, what we can do is grab the bar and practice retracting and depressing our shoulders just to get a feel of the movement and to become a bit more aware of our shoulder blade positioning. The second thing that you can do to help you get closer and closer to pull-ups is by performing negative pull-ups. And this is essentially training the lowering movement of the pull-up, which is typically a bit easier to perform than going up. So what you can do here is jump up to the bar and then slowly lower yourself down from the top position. And this is going to eccentrically strengthen out your lats, and it can help out a bit with getting a feel of your entire body weight supported just by your hands. And finally, the last step before doing a full pull-up is by training it with a bit of momentum. So again, you can start off by giving yourself a little bunny hop off the ground and pulling yourself up. And over time, you should be able to start doing this with less of a hop. And eventually, so you should be able to start it from a dead hang and pulling yourself all the way to the top and coming back down. So by now, you should hopefully have a full pull-up and you should give yourself a bit of a pat on the back. But it doesn't stop there because we can still keep doing more to get better and better. So after your first pull-up, it's time to start getting multiple pull-ups, and you can start training this by using a light resistance band, or you can start performing some other accessory exercises to make sure that you're getting the training volume in to stimulate muscle hypertrophy and muscular strength. So some of the accessory exercises that you can do even from when you're starting at the start are lat pull-downs and lat pullovers. So the lat pull-down is fairly straightforward. It's very similar to the pull-up movement, except this time you're taking a bar down towards your chest instead of pulling your chest up to the bar. And this can be very useful because with the lat pull down, you can micro adjust each weight that you're putting on very easily. So essentially you just set the weight and you grab the handles and you pull the bar down. And in order to make it a seamless transition into your pull up, you should be aiming for bringing the bar down to your chest and keeping nice and tall and upright. It's a bit easier to manage training volume with the lat pull down, so you can start incrementing it up either week by week or session by session. And I'd be aiming for at least 8 repetitions upwards to even 12 to 15 to make sure that you're getting enough volume in. And similarly for the lat pullover, it's training your shoulder extension, which is an important movement in the pull-up, and it's going to help develop some strength in your lats and your triceps as well. Aside being useful for pull-ups, the lat pullover exercise is an awesome accessory exercise for training muscle-ups, where in a muscle-up you're going around the bar in an arc to get over the bar, whereas with a pull-up you're pretty much going straight up and down. Cool, so that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got some useful information out of it to help you with your pull-up training. If you guys have any questions or queries or any suggestions for other videos, then let us know in the comments below and we'll try to cover it as best as we can. Aside from that, there might be a muscle up guide coming up soon if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled and we'll catch you in the next video.